My name is Evelyn. I am 35 years old, and for most of my life, I believed I understood what a peaceful home looked like. I have been married to my husband, George, for 16 years. He is 52 now, older than me, wiser than me, at least that's what I always thought. We have 2 daughters. My oldest is 14, already learning how complicated life can be, and my youngest is just 2, still innocent and full of laughter. Our life was simple. George went to work every morning, and I stayed home to take care of our daughters, the meals, the cleaning, and every small detail that keeps a family together. I never complained. I believed this was my role, my purpose, and my way of loving my family. Money was sometimes a problem, but love felt steady. I trusted George completely. After 16 years, I thought nothing could shake us. I thought loyalty was something I never had to question. But slowly, small things began to change. George came home later, spoke less, grew irritated more easily. I convinced myself he was just tired, stressed, overwhelmed. I had no idea that the man I trusted for 16 years was slowly walking away from our family. Most days in my life followed the same gentle rhythm. I woke up early, made breakfast for my family, packed George's lunch, and helped my older daughter get ready for school. After that, I washed clothes, cleaned the house, played with my little one, and cooked dinner before the sun even began to set. At night, I would help my 14-year-old with her homework while holding my 2-year-old in my arms until she fell asleep. It was exhausting, yes, but it was also meaningful. This was my world, my little universe, and I protected it with all my heart. George was not a very expressive man, but he worked hard, paid the bills, and made sure we had a roof over our heads. Together, we were paying off the loan for our apartment, and I was getting ready to return to work once my maternity leave officially ended. Our daughters adored their father. They believed he was the strongest, the safest place a child could ever have. And I believed the same, for a very long time. But slowly, something changed. George spoke less, laughed less, and kept his phone close to him at all times. He locked the screen so quickly, as if he were afraid I might see something. Life still looked peaceful from the outside, but inside our home, small cracks were beginning to appear. Everything began to fall apart the day I noticed something strange on George's phone bill. There was one number, just one, that he called almost every day. Morning, afternoon, late at night. I stared at it for a long time, feeling my heart tighten. I tried to stay calm. Maybe it was work. Maybe it was nothing. But deep inside, a quiet voice whispered, "You already know the truth." One evening, when George was in the shower, I dialed the number with shaking hands. A woman answered. Her voice was confident, almost careless. When I asked who she was, she simply said, "I'm the woman your husband has been seeing." My knees went weak. I could barely breathe. She even added, "Whether my husband finds out or not is not my problem." I felt sick. Betrayed. Humiliated. When George came out, I confronted him, holding the phone bill in my trembling hands. Instead of apologizing, he exploded. "Why are you checking my things? You're imagining problems. You're making drama for no reason." But I knew better. This was not the first time. George had cheated on me years ago, right after our first daughter was born. I had forgiven him then, maybe too quickly. The next day, I checked our bank account. My heart dropped again. Money was missing, lots of it. Expensive restaurants. Gifts. Transfers. All for her. While I was stretching every dollar to feed our children, he was living a second life. Our oldest daughter tried to talk to him. "Dad, please stop. You're hurting Mom, you're hurting us." But he yelled at her too. Something dark had taken over him. Then George stopped coming home at night. He said he was working late. He didn't call. He didn't text. I stayed awake until morning, sick with fear and heartbreak. The stress destroyed my health. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat. My body shook all the time. The doctor told me I needed rest. But how does a mother rest when everything around her is falling apart? And then, the moment that broke me. George came home one evening, sat down at the table, and looked at me with cold, tired eyes. "We need to talk," he said. My hands trembled. "What is it?" He exhaled and said the words that ended our life together. "I don't love you anymore. I'm leaving." He packed his bags as I sat frozen on the sofa, tears running down my face. And then, he walked out of the door, leaving me and our daughters crying in the silence he created. After George left, something inside me completely collapsed. I was no longer myself. I could not eat, I could not sleep. I was losing weight so fast that even I did not recognize the woman in the mirror. At night, after both of my daughters fell asleep, I sat alone in the dark. I curled up on the floor, holding my knees, crying until I could not breathe. My body shook with every sob. My heart felt like someone was squeezing it with their hands. During the day, I tried to be strong. I smiled for my daughters. I cooked for them. I helped with homework. But inside, I felt like I was slowly dying. I had given this man 16 years of my life. I stayed home, raised our children, and built our family. And yet he walked away from me as if I meant nothing. Then one morning, everything broke again. I was walking my daughter to school, and we passed a small coffee shop. I looked through the window, and there he was. George. He was sitting at a table with the other woman. They were laughing. He looked relaxed. He looked happy, so happy it hurt. It was the kind of smile he had not shared with us for a long time. I froze. My heart turned cold. I felt tears jump to my eyes. How can he smile while I am struggling just to breathe? For a moment, our eyes met through the glass window. I quickly turned away. I could not bear it. When I reached home, I walked straight to my bedroom. I looked down at my left hand, the wedding ring I had worn for 16 years. The symbol of a promise he broke long ago. Slowly, I removed the ring and placed it on the table. Then I whispered to myself. He left me. But I cannot leave myself. That night, I cried again, deep, painful tears, but this time, something was different. For the first time, I was not waiting for the sound of his car. I was not hoping he would walk through the door. I was not expecting anything from him anymore. In my deepest pain, a painful truth became clear. George did not only betray my love. He betrayed the woman who gave him her youth, her trust, her health, and her entire life. And maybe, for the first time, I began to wake up. Accepting the truth was the hardest part of my healing. One morning, I woke up and finally said to myself, George chose to leave. And I must choose to live. I stopped waiting for his messages. I stopped checking my phone. I stopped imagining that the door might open and he would come home again. Instead, I turned my attention to the two people who still needed me, my daughters. My oldest daughter became my biggest source of strength. One night, she hugged me tightly and said, "Mom, we still have each other. That's enough." Her words warmed a part of my heart that I thought was gone forever. Slowly, I began to rebuild my life. I started eating again, even when food tasted like nothing. I took short walks around the neighborhood to clear my mind. I wrote in a journal every morning, some pages full of tears, others full of hope. When my energy returned, I contacted my old workplace. They welcomed me back, even part-time. My family helped with the children. My friends visited more often. For the first time in months, I did not feel completely alone. Money was still tight. I had to plan every meal, every bill, every small expense. But even in that struggle, I felt something new, peace. There were no more secrets in my home, no more lies, no more nights waiting for a man who never planned to return. I looked at my daughters one evening and said, "We may not have much, but at least we have peace now." Life was still difficult, yes. But for the first time, it felt like my life again, not a shadow of someone else's choices. Now, after everything I have lived through, I see my life with new eyes. I used to believe that love was measured by time, the years we spent together, the memories we built, the children we raised. But now I understand that love is not measured by years, but by actions. A person can stand beside you for 16 years and still walk away the moment life becomes difficult. I learned that sometimes losing someone you love is the only way to find yourself again. When George left, I thought I would break forever. But the pain forced me to look at my life, my strength, and my worth. Pain became my teacher, showing me who I really am. There were days when getting out of bed felt impossible. There were nights when I cried until my chest hurt. But slowly, step by step, I survived. You can survive heartbreak too, one small step at a time. Today, I am not the same woman who cried in the dark waiting for a man who stopped loving her. I am stronger. I am wiser. And I know my value. George leaving did not end my life. It began a new one. And one day, when my heart is ready, I will love again, but this time, I will not lose myself. If you liked my story, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Thank you for learning English through stories with me. I hope to see you again in the next video.